All right, I want to talk about the Plateau. My name is Squire DeMoon, and I want to talk about the Plateau. Anyone who fights in Dag, at least the ones that I've talked to, a lot of people have been in Dag 6 years, even like 2 years if you're like a sword and board guy. There's a plateau you hit. You're at practice. You learn from your vets, you learn all that they can give you in your style, and then you start looking online. Even before that, you start looking online. You're like, all right, what videos are out there? What things can I learn? Can I try this new technique? And well, with a style like swordboard, there's always at least one good swordboard guy in a realm. If not, well, there's a lot of videos out there. There's a ton of videos on swordboard. You can get pretty good at sword and board just off videos alone, and then practicing it at practice. Then if you've got a really good sword and boarder, if you've got like 3 or 4 average sword and boarders who can all give you their tips, and you can take them all and mesh and make your own style, you can hit that plateau in 1.5 to 2 years. The plateau is what I would describe as this wall of progression that you hit. You go from being a new guy, dying all the time, picking up a style that you like or that you think will get you to win, and you get a bunch of people teaching you stuff, you learn some stuff, you go and find some videos and get good at it, and then it goes, I'm dying, to, ooh, this is getting pretty good. All right, yeah, let's add this technique, and then smack into this invisible wall, this plateau that you end up hitting, and you get stuck on it. Smack at that wall, and you just ride the top of this plateau. That's what I call a plateau of skill. And essentially the only way to get over that is to go to events or train everybody else so they get up there with you, and then they start developing stuff and you build off each other. Those are like the 2 answers. You go to events, or you start teaching other people locally everything you know so that you can get better, or you change styles. I should say there's 3. Now, if you've been like me, you only go to a couple events a year just because financial, work, and just local. I've only got a couple big events close to me that are viable for me to go to. You hit a plateau in a lot of different styles. Like, locally, I'm pretty decent with sword and board. I'm really good with red. 2-stick, I'm practicing it a little more. Spear, I'm practicing a little more. So I haven't plateaued in those yet. And I'm not plateaued at sword and board yet. I'm plateaued at red fighting. Like, locally, I'm just, I don't need any more red fighting. But when I go to events, that's when I learn. Or I teach people red fighting and get better. So I can eventually get over the plateau. Essentially, what I want to say is when you hit a plateau, don't think of it as, how can I get better? Think of it as, how can I help others get better? Because if you go to events all the time, that's great. If you got money, you got the ability to go to events all the time, awesome, good for you. You won't hit that plateau as easy. But if you're someone who goes to a local practice every week and you've been fighting there for about 2 years now, you're gonna hit that plateau. And you can change styles. For the first 5 years, that works. You start changing styles, you play with something else to practice getting good at that. But after a while, you'll at least learn the basics of every style. And, well, when you start getting past the basics, the only thing you do is watch videos, find people who know those styles, and they can teach you how they do it. And the only way to get those people to teach you is to go to an event. So locally, if you don't go to a lot of events and you hit that plateau, you need to think of this as a chance to teach others your skill in fighting so that you can raise these people up so they're at your level, and you guys can all kind of work as a think tank. This person might develop a unique cut, a unique thing, but I'll guarantee you there's somebody out there who's already thought of that. So essentially, you are growing your own little group of people who are learning these techniques that somebody out there knows, but you haven't met them and don't have the opportunity to meet them because you can't go to those events every time. Now, the other thing is, this also will lead to you developing bad habits. That's why you gotta go to events and try them out there. So if you can only make it to a couple events, build other people up. They'll learn how to do things from you, and then they'll branch off and make their own things, and you can learn from them. If you teach 5 people sword and board over the next couple years, I'm going to guarantee you if 1 or 2 of them is going to hopefully stay in. If they do, they're going to come up with some stuff that you didn't think about, because not everybody's around sword and board and bat kind of guy. This guy might like using a flail and a kite shield, and so he might come up with a move that's a motion that you can adapt. It's just a little block snap. That's pretty common, but maybe you didn't think about that. Maybe you've never come across, maybe you haven't died as much as that kid did. Maybe he's a little slower to move his shield away. But maybe just because you don't need that move doesn't mean you can't add it to your toolkit. Hitting that plateau should be viewed as a chance to teach others, to build them up so that you can learn from them. This is what it needs to be. It needs to be you teach them and they teach you. Because if that happens, that plateau becomes a little easier. You don't go, I hit the plateau, I'm slacking out, I don't really want to come to practice. Well, if that's what you want to do, all right, do it. But if you switch to that mindset of, I've hit my plateau, let me teach them everything I can, and hopefully they can come up with something, or in the process of me teaching them, they inspire me to learn something new. Out of the 8 years I've been in DAG, most of the first 4 years I hit my plateau. Red was rough for me. There's so much red going on. I hit my plateau probably about 2 years into red, 3 years into red. And I went out to events and started doing tournaments. I never won a lot. I won one in Dragonspire. I won a cool tournament Highlander a couple years ago, but I've never really won a whole lot of tournaments. But I went into them. Tournaments are a great place to learn, and especially like in your style, go into a red tournament or sword board tournament. You'll see a lot of cool things and learn from that. And if they're doing video, if you fighting in that tournament and you versing somebody, you can even see how you reacted to that cool shit somebody did. But the plateau is a chance for you to branch out, for you to teach somebody else and learn from that. And if you don't want to do that, you can break out into another style. You can I kind of change up styles now so that I can learn how to do it for somebody else. So one of the things that I'm working on now, I spent a whole season essentially working on quarterstaff. One whole season dual wielding reds for no reason. And then this is kind of what I've been screwing with, this dagger. Little pit dagger, nice punch block there. Good stab dagger, little pit dagger. And I'm gonna die hundreds of times learning how to kill sword boarders with this. Not because it's gonna be the most fun, but because it's gonna teach me good footwork, it's gonna teach me even better distance control. And then if somebody wants to come out there and ever wants to use a dagger, I got you. I can show you how to do stuff with the dagger. That's what I want. Another thing that I've been practicing is sword and buckler. This is going to give me a lot more understanding of shot selection. It's going to give me a lot better footwork, a lot better control over my shield work, understanding that code of defense. And so that's what I kind of do, is I break into that, but I'm doing it now because we don't have a whole lot of new people in my realm right now. And especially with the quarantine, we haven't really doing anything. But branching out in another style is a way of learning something so I can teach it to somebody else later. I'm not into doing those styles. Not really. Dagger's kind of cool. It's fun when you kill somebody with a dagger. But it's not my style. Red's my style. I'm learning it so I can teach something to somebody else. I'm going to go through all the styles and do that. I might not do it till I hit the wall. I might do it till I learn the basics. But if I hit the wall and what I'm doing again, eventually I hit like multiple walls in red. I went through a couple different styles of red and hit a wall there. So I switched styles of red. But I want to get across to people is don't think about yourself as the only way to learn. You can learn through teaching other people. And that's what I want to get across. Plateau, think, teach other people.